Namaste. Jai Shivaya. Today we are going to talk about how to do Pratyahara. Out of all those Ashtanga Yoga, or you can say Maharishi Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga application, what needs to be done in order to be a Indrijaya or Pratyahara, as it is known as, more like sensory withdrawal. And for that we need to understand, first of all, what's the design of your lower mind. Okay, what's the existential design or the architecture for that. So let's start with senses. You have 6 senses, right? Smell, taste, vision, touch and hearing. 6 senses you have got. Through the 6 senses, all the time you are perceiving the world. In other words, the input from the world, from the life, from any situation, circumstances is going into you, into your existence through the 5 senses that you have got. Okay, and then inside it, where does it go? It actually lands into the lower mind first. Okay, say for example, you are walking and you realized, okay, I'm on the edge of the cliff, on the mountain. Then your knowledge, your wisdom, the input went inside you that there is this cliff, the edge of the cliff, and the wisdom comes from within and it says, stop right there, go back, don't go forward, otherwise you'll fall from the cliff. It's that simple, right? Exactly in the same way, somebody came to you and gave you some wisdom or whatever, and then it goes to it brings back the knowledge or the ignorance, whatever you have within you, illusionary information or whatever you are harboring. It comes back and says, okay, no, this is not right, or this is not good for you, so you need to revert back, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. So 5 senses are all the time doing this. Now, when we say Indriya is, senses is not a good translation for the word Indriya at all. Why? Indriya are part of your subtle existence, for which we do not have words in English, but we equate them to something physical, which is 5 senses. Okay, so roughly we are talking about 5 senses, but not exactly we are talking about 5 senses when it comes to do Pratyahara or sensory withdrawal. Okay, it's not, sensory withdrawal is also not a very good translation of the word Pratyahara, but that is what we have for now. So now let's see, what is your 6th sense? 6th sense is your manas, or we call it mana, or we call it lower mind. And it has these 6 defects. Okay, first defect is kama. Kama means lust for anything. Lust for food, lust for sex, lust for sleep, lust for this, lust for that. If you are a person who is full of lust for food, for money, for resources, for power, for authority, for houses, for material wealth or material existence, part of your existence, lust for beauty, lust for this, lust for that. If you are so full of kama or the lust, then there's no way that input that you have just received is going to cross the lower mind and go into your intellect. Beyond the lower mind, there is intellect. Okay, and that is where you have your power of discernment. But it's not going to reach there. Instead, whatever input you have received is going to be reacted upon by the lust that you have got. You may not need a new mobile. You may not need it. But the moment your friend said, oh, I bought this new mobile, this has this feature, that feature, and it's this costly, that costly, suddenly there is a lust in you. Lust is reacting and saying, yes, you want it too, and you go after that mobile. You go and buy that mobile. Same thing is with the houses. Same thing is with the sex. Same thing is with the beautiful bodies. Same thing is with the food. Same thing is with anybody and everybody. So input is not reaching to your power of discernment to be able to say you do not need it. You have a good enough mobile, you have a good enough beautiful person in your life, you have a good enough house and money and wealth, and you do not need it. You do not need to run after it. You do not need to go after it. So it's not reaching there. Instead, the input was reacted upon by the lust. So this is the first defect of the lower mind, the manas, the mana. Okay. Second one is greed. If you have greed for anything, for money, for power, for resources, for gold, for wealth, or for houses, or for anything, if you have greed for it, that's it. You're done. You'll have a lot of disturbance. All the time you are firing reaction after reaction after reaction out of your greed. You're not responding to life. All these 6 defects keeps you in the reactionary space. They stops you from responding to the life that is around you, responding to the situations in life, responding to the world that you have around you. It stops you. These 6 defects. Third one is arrogance. Unnecessary arrogance a lot of people have these days, right? They know something or they don't know something, they are just outright arrogant. How to teach such people? How to give them any kind of wisdom when you have arrogance in you? So you do not come with the right attitude. You may be a very good performer in your sports, in your college, in your studies. You may be a star employee, but if you have arrogance, you're not going to go a long way. Why? It will keep you into a reactionary space instead of responding to something. Somebody may say something and you are just, in your arrogance, and you are just having a lot of ego built in you out of whatever you have done in life. And if somebody challenges that arrogance, somebody challenges you, instead of thinking about or responding to from your power of discernment, from your intellect, you end up reacting to that person. A lot of politicians or the big shots or the tycoons, that people that you see around you, live with a lot of arrogance. And that's why anybody who is a lot arrogant by nature and who really goes to any extent to protect the ego or display of ego is a lot, or egoist person, truth-speaking people will not be found around such a person. Why? Your friend may be speaking truth to you, but you have arrogance, so sooner or later that person is going to leave you. Whether it's your partner, your husband, or your wife, or anybody. If you are arrogant, then nobody would like to live with you, or you will be left with people who just try to save you from, try to save your ego. They just do not want to puncture it. So, such people have, what do we call that? Yes. Always saying yes kind of people around them. So, arrogance does that. Another defect of lower mind is being a foolhardy. Foolhardy means just getting overly excited about anything and everything. All the inputs that your senses are receiving, you're just feeling very overly excited, jumping here, jumping there. Somebody said, okay, this investment is good. You just did not do any analysis or anything. You'll found it, oh, my friend said this is good, that is good, let's go here, let's go there, let's do this, all the time jumping, hopping around, being overly excited about this, that, and not even giving it a thought. Thought will happen. Some power of discernment will be there. Some judgment, some critical analysis will be happening, need to happen from your power of discernment, from your intellect, but no. Instead, you end up reacting again from your foolhardiness. So don't be a foolhardy. Okay? People won't take you seriously sooner or later if you keep doing that. Next one is pride. Lot of pride these days develops in people. And that pride is also about, taking pride in how beautiful you are, taking pride in how many clothes you have, taking pride in how many cars and houses you have, how much wealth you have, taking pride in what kind of car you drive, taking pride in this, taking pride in all kinds of material stuff. And looking for instant fame, without doing anything. A lot of people that you see on social media are such kind of people who are looking for instant fame, anything that gives them instant pride, that they can, whatever they can feel pride about. It may or may not be that deep of a person. So all these qualities also make a person as a very shallow one, very shallow kind of a person. And then last one is anger. You become angry very quickly. You get angry. You have a temper. Okay, all the time. Either you are angry on yourself or you are angry on the world outside you. So all these 6 things keeps you in a reactionary space. They do not let the input from your senses go all the way to your intellect. So this is the swamp in between the sensory input and the intellect. This is the swamp that exists in between. And the messier this swamp is, deeper this swamp is, less intellect person you will be. And your decision making, a lot of people make a mistake. They think their decision making is happening from the intellect. No. Any decision making, whether it was to buy a house, whether to go for this job, that job, whether to start this business, that business, or start this spiritual practice, this and that, anything and everything is happening from this lower mind, from the mind of reactionary space, not from the mind of all the way, actually the intellect. Input is not even going there. So Pratyahara or sensory withdrawal does not mean close your eyes, close your ears. No, sorry, it doesn't mean that. Being Indrijaya means somebody who is the master of their senses. Mastering your senses does not mean closing your eyes, ears and nose and smell and touch and this and that. No. Mastering your senses means not going after just the sensory pleasure. Instead, and not having these 6 defects that exist, so that every sensory input lands up in intellect and you respond to life. You respond to situation. You respond to the world around you and you grasp the wisdom. You take the wisdom path. A lot of people stay stuck in this swamp, in this muddy area. They keep reacting here and there. They call themselves highly emotional people. They want to walk bhakti path. No, sorry, you can't even walk a bhakti path or jnana path or this or that karma path. You cannot walk any path if you are not an Indrijaya. Indrijaya is a person, or you can say master of senses is a person who does not have these 6 defects. It's not about increasing the power to see, increasing the power to hear. Well, you hear fine. You have been given enough consciousness to have in your eyes, in your ears, and get the input and take that input. It's just that whatever input was taken, that input lands in this swamp, in this muddy area, in the lower mind where you have these 6 defects going on all the time in you. So then how do you remove all these? How come in the first place you got them? You got them because of the psychological patterns. Psychological patterns, or you call them chitta vrittis, when they become bad and bad and bad and bad, and they go on becoming hardened in you, then not only chitta, they start occupying manas as well. So all these have come from there. They are the result of chitta vrittis becoming very, very, very bad. They are also called as vasanas. These 6. And their mother, or you can say their father or their seed, is actually the Chitta Vritti. Okay, so this is another way of understanding Chitta Vrittis and Vasanas. Chitta Vrittis are hardened sanskaras, live in your Chitta. These things live in the part of that your Chitta, and that part is termed as Manas or Mana. And this is also the sixth sense of you. Because if this space is not occupied by these 6 defects, then this space becomes the first space in your existence where consciousness is going to shine, where consciousness is going to touch the subtle dimension of life, if you do not have these. In other words, your Vijnanamay Kosh this is the door, this is the lock, you can say, lock that you have to open in order to be able to access your intuition body. This is not the sixth sense, this is also called as, combination of all the senses, and it's the door to Vijnanamay Kosh, intuition body that you call. You are going to have intuitions in life, very much 100% true kind of intuition. Through intuitions, you can download any kind of wisdom that you want to, but you will be able to do that properly. You will be able to see the truth behind this universe, behind anything and everything, only and only when these 6 defects are not there. So it's that important. It's also important in order to study anything in life. Imagine if your doctor has lot of lust for money, greed for money. He'll run for the money and then he'll have greed for money. Imagine if your lawyer or a doctor or a dentist is an arrogant person. He breaks your 2 teeth instead of 1. Or if your friend or your partner or life partner is a foolhardy kind of a person. Or if they take lot of false pride in this and they have lot of ego in them. Or if somebody has a lot of temperament, lot of anger. These things sooner or later will create lot of stress, and then people talk about it will also create lot of suffering in you, and then we will talk about, there are things like anger management, stress management, and then there are things like what was that? Pain management, suffering management. No. There is no such thing as anger management. There is no such thing as stress management. Stop creating it. Shut down that damn factory. That goes on and on. This is also called as unstable or unstable mind. Ripples in mind, which stops you from gathering any wisdom, any knowledge in life about anything and everything. It could be as simple as cooking. It could be as subtle as yogic sciences. It stops you. These things. You cannot give any knowledge or wisdom or anything that's subtle. You cannot give them. Why? They have a very, very unstable mind. Whatever input they will take from their eyes, from their ears, will not go to their intellect at all. So you cannot refine the intellect of such people. Those who have these lower mind defects. They cannot purify their buddhi, their intellect. They cannot raise sattva, the element of light, in their buddhi, in their intellect. They cannot do that. So the first thing is not to have these 6 defects. And when these are not there, all your 5 senses along with your 6th sense, ability to contact and touch your Vijnanamay Kosh or the intuition body, together they work like as one sense only. So we call it a siddhi of Ekindriya, becoming Ekindriya. Ek means one, means the oneness is there in all your senses. They do not work differently. What you saw from eyes or ears is not being reacted upon. The life. So you are not reactionary being at all. You become a responsible and person who responds to everything and lives consciously. So consciousness stays either in the senses properly, and then it takes that consciousness, goes all the way and carries that input to the intellect, where power of discernment is applied and you respond to anything in life. Instead of that happening, you, whatever consciousness was there to take the inputs from five senses, the consciousness is going round and round in the whirlpool and in the swamp of these 6 lower mind defects. That's it. It stays stuck there for a long time. So not having these 5 defects is called as Pratyahara, these 6 defects. And such a person becomes Indrijaya, master of their senses or master of their Indriya. And in such a person, Vijnanmaya Kosha starts working. The 4th body layer or the sheath of your existence, Vijnanmaya Kosha, starts working. So just analyze yourself, what inputs you are taking and how disturbed or how deep of a swamp you are having. Okay. Namaste. Jai Shiva.
Oh.